Thank you very much, everyone. I will go ahead to read the biography now. So, Blessing O. Josiah is a purpose-driven and seasoned nurse educator with a varied history in clinical practice, academia, healthcare leadership, and research. Presently engaged in doctoral studies in healthcare administration. His commitment to continual learning is demonstrated by his numerous academic accomplishments, including a Master of Science in International Public Health and a Master of Science in Healthcare Management. Josiah possesses a Bachelor of Nursing Science and is a registered nurse in Nigeria, the United States, St. Kitts and Nevis, and the Turks and Caicos Islands. Josiah's commitment to patient-centered treatment is apparent in his clinical practice style. He is dedicated to delivering superior care that is culturally attuned and responsive to the distinct needs of every patient. His capacity to cultivate robust relationships with patients and families engenders trust and promotes effective communication. Josiah's scientific interests correspond with urgent global health issues. His research centers on vaccination hesitancy, health disparities, and healthcare access, particularly examining healthcare funding and the determinants of health behaviors and the healthcare utilization. His research has been disseminated in esteemed peer-reviewed journals, enhancing the evidence basis and guiding public health policy. He supervises numerous students and emerging researchers through volunteer activities with organizations such as the Institute of Nursing Research Nigeria and provides research consultations across various platforms. In addition to his clinical and scholarly pursuits, Josiah has distinguished himself as an educator, having received rigorous training from Harvard University. He has occupied multiple academic roles such as lecturer and clinical instructor, during which he has motivated and guided numerous nursing students. His pedagogical methodology emphasizes imparting a robust foundation in both academic knowledge and practical skills, preparing students to become empathetic and proficient healthcare professionals. In addition to his teaching responsibilities, Josiah serves as a faculty supervisor for climate resources for health education in nursing, collaborating on curriculum development with Columbia University and the Global Consortium for Climate and Health Education. Blessing O. Josiah is positively influencing the lives of patients and communities through his many contributions to healthcare. He is an active member of the Rotary Charity Club, the Grand Turks Toastmasters Club, the Turks and Caicos Red Cross Society, and an experienced peer reviewer of Pillars Global Public Health, Frontiers of Public Health, and other academic publications. His fervor, proficiency, and dedication to excellence provide him a significant addition to the healthcare sector. Ladies and gentlemen, with the show of clap in the comments box, let us welcome our facilitator, Blessing O. Josiah. You're welcome, sir.
Much for that detailed introduction. I'm just flattered. Okay, we are here to talk about how to use AI. I looked through the chat group chats and I'm seeing a lot of energy there. Our participants are waiting to learn more on how to use AI in research and academic works. I'm not going to take too much of your time. At the end of this meeting, you would have had some other changes in perspective and you would know how to actually navigate the very complex platform of artificial intelligence in nursing research. So declare any conflict of interests. I have none to declare. No affiliation, no endorsements, and no form of compensation from any of the tools I would have used in this presentation process. So to introduce, we know that today things are really moving rapidly, way more than we had it in like 2 years or even 3 years ago, because of technology pushing the limits for individuals who may not have the time to do what they are supposed to do because of the many responsibilities involved in our line of services, professional nurses, professional medical practitioners, academic individuals, and all. But with the use of AI and machine learning, we are beginning to see changes in that area. are beginning to see improvements and people beginning to push out products and research outputs that are way more than what they could do previously. So it's either we join this train or we'll have to stay behind, and that will be the best experience. So how do we define this AI and machine learning? I'm doing this because I was in one very important presentation about 2 months ago, and this very unique presenter finished his work and presented so greatly. And at the end, the first question I was asked was, "What is PMR?" And the person had used it all through the presentation and did not define. So, pardon me to define AI for you here. Machine learning, first of all, is a type of artificial intelligence. That part of it is it allows systems to learn and learn from experience. Using data, they integrate it and go back again and refine the knowledge. It's not a complete loop. It's not a closed loop because it's able to actually expand and then learn better as it does things over and over. While the artificial intelligence, which is the umbrella terms that covers both machine learning and other learning algorithms, is actually the use of technology that enables machines to perform tasks at the level of human intelligence. So for machine learning, you would see that we have about three types of it. We have the supervised learning, we have the unsupervised learning, and then we have the reinforced learning, which actually breaks the loop and make it more complex as the machine continues to learn and develop, just like a child born with an empty brain would, I would say empty in quotes, would grow and develop into a more intelligent being. And then for the artificial intelligence, we have the narrow part, which of course are just focused on simple tasks like image recognition, language translation. But the general part of it, which is those that actually carry out in very intricate, complex tasks, almost as high or sometimes even more intelligent than some person or human abilities. So, how far have we gone with the AI thing? From the very outset, we have seen that AI began from the 1950s with the very John McCartney coining the name as the science of and engineering of making intelligent machine. From there, we have moved over the years and gradual but steady development with ups and downs until the 2000s. Right, the first demonstration of AI being is a scientific discovery by the book written by Law et al., which was published, and the title truly speak of this of itself rather. Through synthetic analysis package that can generate complete synthetic routes to target molecules. Now, this title is a very important title, which also forms a very huge part of today's argument about artificial intelligence because of the retro in the name. It means we have to base these functionalities on past data, and that is an important concept you want to bear in mind. Down in 2010, we were able to really move into advanced technologies in AI. And from 2011, we started seeing specialized AI assistants like Siri, Watson, Alexa, and the likes flooding the market. So AI became more intelligent, more incorporative, and more specific with their functions. Now, today we have a lot of challenges in research, and as an individual who has gone through research processes, I believe if you have any experience in research, you would know that it's not an easy task at all. It's rigorous, it's time consuming, and sometimes it's frustrating. If you can hear me, please type a yes in the group chat so that the moderators can coordinate so I don't keep speaking to myself alone here. All right. So researchers face numerous challenges. We have data overload, which is one of the biggest challenges I've seen. And we have limited resources. Of course, sometimes you may have to try to look into using some tools. I would have loved to use these tools, but they're not free. You probably cannot afford it, or they cannot do exactly what you want them to do. The need for accurate analysis is very important. I mean, I had pushed out some research at some point and later discovered that 62% is written somewhere else, and then 62.3 or 61% is next, which means they are not really 100% aligned. With some tools now, you can easily capture that without making that mistake, especially when you are writing voluminous projects. And then these obstacles can hinder the progress of science because we need data to make decisions. And then we look at various research management solutions. Right. So AI and machine learning provides innovative solutions to a vast amounts of data. You can actually handle a voluminous data. For instance, I was looking to a research published like 2 months ago, and I saw that they were able to incorporate over 10,000 articles or findings into their secondary research analysis, which was incredible. And I can really tell that that work was assisted by technology such as AI to make it success. So we look at machine learning algorithms that can analyze complex data sets and make analysis much faster. So that is a very big plus for every researcher. Then we look at machines that allow researchers to derive insights and identify patterns and make predictions that were previously unattainable using your manual processes. And then we have researchers that can streamline data collections, or researchers can actually streamline data collections and storage and analysis, which leads to more efficient research process as well. Because of course, data collection, storage, analysis is one huge part of research that actually stands as a pivotal for better science and healthcare delivery. And then here we look at various ways or areas where research artificial intelligence is being used today in research development. These innovative ways are cut across the entire system, ranging from gaming to robotics to automotive system, astronomy, entertainment. But I want you to focus here where we are is the education and healthcare system. We transmit knowledge, lifestyle, including health behaviors, and also we transmit research evidences from biomedical engineering to pharmacy and pharmacology or pharmaceuticals down to robotics, which also connects with biomedical tools and various systems used in healthcare delivery. Now, in academic, which is where I just asterisked above, we have 6 domains that have been explored by Kapler and Abalwi 2024. When I looked through this research, I saw a whole lot of activities there. The work was really, really expansive. From idea development to content development or creation down to literature review, data management, editing, and then communication of the output or outreach, and then ethical compliance. How are these being used? They looked further and they saw that most individuals, up to 28% of the persons they look at, sorry about that, had used AI in terms of drafting and research and all these and writing outputs or deliveries. And they followed closely, they found that about 26% were using it for editing and review and publishing. Of course, I'm part of that. And then data management and analysis, yes, of course, I will also say I'm part of that. And then we have content development and structuring, which is a more difficult part for people who are actually learners coming up in the research. It's very difficult for some individuals to really grasp that structuring, outline, and doing that. So it's hard. 23% of the data they looked at were using AI for content development and structuring. And then for idea development and research design, 2%, which I think may be higher than that today, or maybe the capturing was not completely done. But this is a very fine research showing you how people are using AI today. And they went further to create a table which shows different tools. I brought this in because I wanted to show you that, yes, of course, there are a lot of tools out there that you can use. You will get this slide after the presentation. So, but if you feel like taking screenshots, it's okay. But I will point out some things for you here. There are various tools that were not completely represented as they should. But the bottom line is, look at this very column here. You will see there are AI integrations such as ChatGTP here. We have the semantic scholar here, and others in vivo, in vivo rather, and then we have various other ones that have AI integration. But today, the level of AI integration would have increased. For instance, Turnitin now has AI parts of it, and even Zotero is beginning to act in a way that is now incorporating some AI abilities into the function. So what AI tool should you use? The question is a very complex question because, as you can see, there are a whole lot of AI tools out there. that you can actually pull from. But that is a whole lot. Where do we start from? How do we pick them out? And of course, we have them in various areas or various domains, as you would have seen in a previous slide on various things it's being used for, especially from qualitative data analysis to quantitative data analysis and all that functions here and there. So it becomes confusing because at this stage where we have at the stage of AI hype or at the peak, is a lot of persons, a lot of organizations are integrating AI, and a lot of researchers are coming out with various tools that can help. That there's a lot of complex tools out there. To select them, you need to really be familiar with most of them. So I came down here and I was talking about a few that I selected or curated from the internet and from my use as well. So we have hypothesis generation software called HyperWrite, and this generates testable hypotheses based on research topics. So what you need to do first is to create your research topics and plug it in, and you'll be able to get your hypothesis from that research. And if you don't hear me, if I'm talking too fast, please ping me. Okay, so and then we have semantic scholar, a literature review management and management tool, who assesses over 200 million papers and summarizes with AI powered recommendations. This is very good if you're doing the literature review kind of study. And then we have Elicit, which summarizes paper. We can use Elicit alongside with semantic scholars because Elicit will provide a one sentence summary and organize details from databases of over 125 million papers. And then we have Maestro for transcription of interviews. It will actually transcribe into over 125 languages, convert audio video files to test with accuracy. And if you use that along with qualitative data analysis to call Atlas, you will be on the in fact on the a higher scale of performance. However, Atlas also went further to incorporate a test analysis of transcriptions of interview transcripts, and also offers sentiments. If you do qualitative research, you understand what sentiments are, the views, perceptions, sentiments, positive, negative, neutral, and all that talk around qualitative research. Atlas can actually help you detect the tone of your speaker and what they say and how, and then the words plus the tune, and then make a sentiment out of it, whether it was a positive sentiment, negative sentiment, or if it's a neutral one, then they can tell you, which of course in video can actually do also. But the transcription of your interview transcript is actually one part that Atlas tend to work more. Power BI is an interesting tool from Microsoft Corporations. They made this tool to actually analyze quantitative data. However, it is way more powerful than just analyzing tools, because if you have a URL from a website, you can actually plug it into Power BI, and as the individuals who own that website are updating their data, Power BI will be picking it up on your computer and also changing your analysis accordingly. So people who are into big data, large data analysis, you are into, let's say, hospital management system, where you need to always collect information from patients, like counts, number of patients visiting, the amount they are being billed, their hospital bills, or the number of days they spend in a hospital, as it is entering your hospital management record system. If you have Power BI system, you can actually be pulling that data day in, day out, or hour by hours, and be analyzing it on your screen. Not just the analysis, Power BI also has the ability to show you an interactive dashboard where you can actually view charts and various tables, and they will continue to move. And once you delete one single input, it changes all the data across board to match whatever you changed. So it's a very powerful AI tool as well. And then we have the paper pal. This one works, you can integrate it into your Microsoft Word as a companion to write with. But I see it as a little bit clumsy too, because I tried it for a while, even subscribed with about 100 something dollars, but it didn't really do what I wanted it to do. But I'm not saying it doesn't work well, it does, but I needed it at a very critical moment for something, but it didn't do it as much as I wanted. However, people have been saying a lot of good things about it, which you can try it out if you the free version, if you have needs for it. Because I tried the featured, I mean the subscribed version, and it didn't really do more than what I was getting from the free version. So this is not to talk down any application, please. I'm just telling you my experience. All right, so we have Script Arrow. This used to be a web. In fact, it's still a website based and a web based app which can be used for research referencing. You can use it to generate APA referencing, MLA, and other type of referencing. And also, it can scan documents for errors and suggest corrections directly in your Microsoft Word document. And also, if you paste your text just like Grammarly would do, it can also assist you in correcting them and all that writing processes. Now, the most one of the most interesting one is the Quillbot. Quillbot is very popular. I think it's being used across country, including Nigeria now. So this actually is like the police for AI writing. It actually writes as an AI, but also detects whatever AI has generated and can tell you that, oh, this text is generated 50% AI or 20% AI based on whatever you're using it for. But this tool also is a very powerful tool for paraphrasing. If you attach it to a Microsoft Word on one side, if you just highlight a text, it can tell you, do you want to paraphrase it? Do you want to reduce the length? Do you want to increase the length? Do you want to change it to academic tone, professional tone, business tone? And or do you want to just type in what you want to do with it and it can help you? But as a way of precaution, when you use Quillbot, please read through your work again because Quillbot can use synonyms that actually throw your meaning far away from what you actually intended to put in. So you want to be careful with that, but it's a very powerful tool, I must tell you. And one thing again, as a researcher, when you are writing, you would have written something in page one, and you are on page 25, you are writing something else, and probably you would have contradicted yourself because it's a whole lot of thinking. You immerse yourself in the writing process. Quickbot can actually alert you and tell you, hello, what you are writing now tends to contradict what is on some other parts of your work. So you can click on that very button and check where it contradicts itself, and then with this, all those percentage problems, analysis, and your sentiments drifting away from what it should be would have been solved by Quillbot. So we have Latera, which is used for organizing documents. Latera is a very sweet one. It also generates tables for findings and suggests relevant tests across papers. So if you have need to really like do a short or even a large research, especially when they say, okay, give us like 10 references on this topic and what they actually said, Latera can help you. I'm not saying they should replace your ability to think critically, but they can actually help you and save your time. Additional tools I will look at is just these few other ones. I hope I'm not boring you already. We have the Cite AI, which is used to generate citation and provide citation context, showing how papers are cited and then and supporting or refuting. Now, this site AI is always popping up on my screen because I have integrated it into my browsers. So every time I open an article, it just pops up on the corner and tell me, oh, this article has been cited by 50 researchers, or this article has been used in this other research that was published, and these maybe five of these has actually used it and said they support their findings, while 10 of these said they did not support their findings. And then to also tell you that, oh, these other persons didn't really tell you what it did or how it supported or did not support their study. So with that, you can actually easily follow the research and go and find out which persons it supported their findings and which persons it did not. And as a researcher, because when you write, you want to also compare your own findings with other findings. That's a very great way to actually pull up those research according to their support or non-support of that findings and use them in your discussion by going to those researches and looking over them, of course, to see what actually they wrote about. So that's a very good tool there. Then we have the Research Rabbit, which is a literature exploration tool. Of course, it creates collections of paper, recommend new literatures, and visualize connections. This is also very important for those doing large literature review. And the good thing about it is mostly free. And consensus, because if you go into ordinary chat GPT, whether it's Gemini, whether it's um Copilot or even Perplexity and other ones, you would more than likely encounter hibernation, which means that the AI is just thinking and creating things without reality, out of reality. In some instances, about a few percentage of those hibernation products, which are called fake or fictitious citations and references, are actually coming from papers behind the walls, or firewalls, which are paid, which of course you cannot access. Sometimes, if you cite those papers, you have to prove how you got through to them because you have to pay for them. But that means you are being placed at risk of any form of intellectual property issues. So you want to be careful with those tools. But using consensus will actually give you an accurate, unbiased information sourced from credible academic publications. And also, it could tell you, if, with the links, you can actually tell if this paper is accessible to on open access or whether it is a paid or closed access paper. And we have scholarly or article summarization tool, which extracts key information from research papers and creates summaries. Of course, every researcher wants to spend less time reading papers, which of course I do not say discourage that you should read paper, but if you already got the gist, as I would say, in the paper, you already know what is inside. Maybe you scan through it, you do all you need to do, and then why waste all the entire day reading line by line to find everything? So these are changes that would have occurred along the lines with AI tool, which you can use for not just as a researcher, but as a researcher rather, but as a peer reviewer. Personally, I do peer review, and sometimes some works will come and they are actually so lengthy that you have to spend days looking through it. Of course, we do spend days looking through it to make sure you are very thorough in analyzing and making sure that all your feedback to the author is correct. However, you can use AI to support yourself in doing so. So you use it in peer review processes from finding related research, which is the beginning of your usual peer review process. You have to look whether the paper has been published elsewhere and all that, activities, rigorous activities, searching various databases to see if it's there. AI tools can actually help you do that now. So you can just look at Perplexity AI, which is just ChatGPT kind of based, or Consensus can also help you do that, or even Enago Read can check that for you. But then you look for ethical issues on the paper, whether the person has breached ethical principles or had not done some things rightfully or rightly, then you have to then use your Penelope to look at that, and you ask questions to the manuscript and probably ask what's next. So I used Adobe Reader AI, integrated AI, interactive AI. Sometimes I just ask the Adobe Reader to look at these PDF files and tell me what it can find, and then it comes up with a whole lot of because you don't want to put people's work on Perplexity AI because it's online based. That would be you risk opening people's paper to the risk of intellectual theft. So you want to focus and stay on offline tools like the Adobe Reader, which is not actually on the screen right now, but with PDF interactions, you want to do that. Oftentimes, I really read my paper off these whole works and just do it, especially if it comes very concise, interesting, and very, you read through papers and it gives you more insight into what is happening out there, and that has been very helpful. And you have manuscript summarization. You want to write the final summary of your feedback for this manuscript, and then you generate it. And once you get this information out, you can easily um, track them in the manuscript as you are reading through to be sure that if they are, because sometimes when I do that, I see that so the AI would have veered off the point. I just have to delete that and work with my brain and continue what I'm doing. So we have the screening of manuscript, which is done by Enago, and then review of task management, which can be done by Task AI peer review generator. Those are actually on the back end of all these Q1, Q2 journals, which can actually not spend time wasting time. If you submit your paper today, tomorrow, they are already telling you it's accepted or rejected based on the analysis that the AI would have carried out on your paper. But also, as a word of caution, please do not accept to peer review any article that you are not familiar with. So you don't go and use AI to reject somebody's paper or accept a paper that you cannot really defend. So for the chat AI aspect, the chatbots, which are the once you interact with, tell them what to do or ask questions, they come back. There's a whole lot of them that you can actually look up, from ChatGPT to Microsoft Copilot, Claude, Perplexity, Jasper, U.com, Chastonic, and then we have the Gemini, formerly called Google Bard, and Socratic by Google. I think they all have their various strengths and weaknesses. So ChatGPT is powerful, very powerful overall. Microsoft Copilot is good, but also has limitations. With sometimes when you are interacting with it, because of the information you would have put in before, something it affects your new inputs and trying to compare it with your old inputs. And then we have Claude also. I'm not really too I don't really use much of Claude, but Perplexity AI is a little bit more academic than the rest of them I've used because it tends to pull out more of academic references than the rest of them. Gemini is very versatile. Just like Google is a very big platform, so he has access to a whole lot of data and can easily really solve. But one good thing with Gemini and Perplexity AI, even ChatGPT Copilot, is that if I have a pie chart, for instance, and I want to quickly discuss this pie chart, make sure your figures are showing, your percentages are showing clearly. Just screenshot it or copy the image and put it on and say, please give me an insight on this chart pie chart, or please can you describe or discuss this pie chart. In a few minutes it will give you the highlights of the pie chart, and then you can say, okay, put this in a paragraph format, and it does that. And then you can copy and put it on the corner and then write your own, because I don't encourage people really copying from ChatGPT and pasting. Just use your brain to write based on what it has found after you have verified that the information is correct. And then all these can actually do that, and it's a world of fast moving technology, and if you are not following you will be left behind. Just as you see, the advantages are numerous, from supercharged literature review to accelerated data analysis to enhanced research quality to automation of repetitive tasks to even predictive modeling and forecasting, especially those in big data analysis and geographical analysis, or what we call those in meteorological systems. Those are who are predicting weather forecasts and telling about changes. These are big data. Even healthcare is a very huge data. You want to make sure that you're able to forecast how many patients are we expecting the next year, looking at the data we have had in the past 10 years, and then in the next month, in the next week, based on data, and they're able to tell you accurately that, okay, you should be expecting 50 to 100 patients based on the weather condition. In 2010, there was a heavy winter, and then the patient's caseload rose by 25%. So expect 20 to 30% this year increase. Those are fantastic ways of using AI in your research. So, because cross-disciplinary collaboration, from robotics can now collaborate with people in healthcare decision making, surgery, real life, real time, and you can also collaborate on. For instance, you are using all those literature review software, you can actually easily collaborate across board with other team members across the globe. Presently, I'm working with some teams from Australia, some from the United States, and even part of Africa. And we just log on, and we know whenever someone logs in, it just tells, oh, the social person is working right now. You want to go in, but these are all ways of working and making things more effective. These things does not come without challenges. They have challenges in AI use in healthcare. And these challenges, I would have mentioned some as a way of precaution along this presentation. However, let's look at a few of them. Now, academic integrity is a big issue. Looking at plagiarism, the use of AI tools to generate tests that can lead to unintentional plagiarism and all that, you have to be very careful. That's why I say do not paste things. Always try and make sure that you look at the information, get insights, and write it on your own. And also make sure you have, if there is no citation generated with your test, and you look at the citation generated by your AI and it's not really credible, you want to ask to really give you the source of this information. Sometimes the AI shuts down and like begin to act like it's angry because I tell them, give me the academic source or the journal you're getting this thing from, and sometimes you say, unfortunately, I cannot give you that. And sure, this conversation is over. Like that's how we interact. But in all, try to make sure that you are presenting a test that you can defend. The misrepresentation of authorship. AI should not be recognized as authors yet, but their contributions can blur lines of authorship. So some journals will tell you they do use AI, and you have to tick which AI and probably write down which type of AI you use and how much of it you used in your paper of academic writing. So bear in mind when you are using AI, always bear in mind to have a jotter somewhere or a journal where you write down what you are doing with that AI, because with time, this trend is going to get more and more intense, and you have to tell producers or providers that your work was generated maybe 10% AI and all that. So beware. And then we have bias and fairness. We have AI modes perpetuating existing biases present with in their data training. So that is where I was pointing out when I was talking about the history of AI. That definition that book title that said retrosynthetic is a very important term, and it's very good that we look at it whenever we are picking up or using AI generated tests for a decision making. The reason is that the data it is drawing from, if it is biased, then your data the data you are collecting is also biased, and your result will be biased, which will be fed back into the system, and AI will continue to perpetuate that over and over until the bias becomes too large to be controlled. So be careful, because this bias can actually spoil academic integrity, as it is called. Researchers may inadvertently propagate this biased information if they rely heavily on AI generated contents. Now, transparency and accountability, you have that you need to be accountable. I have mentioned before, some journals are now requiring to tell how much of AI you used. You must disclose how AI was employed in your in your research processes, and you must be transparent and maintaining crucial trust to maintain crucial trust in academic research. So there are some key other areas we look at: privacy and consent. When AI tools collect and analyze data, especially from digital sources, ethical concerns arise regarding informed consent and privacy rights of individuals whose data may be used. Now, this is very important in healthcare area. Let's say you're collecting data from patients and you have an AI loop that is linked to it. You connect it to AI for analysis purposes. There was no intent for harm. You're just doing your job. But because of these links, they could create a back hole through which some other AIs can actually fetch your data. And if they do, it means that your patient's personal data are out flying out there without your knowledge. And in fact, companies who produce electronic gadgets like your monitor wristwatch for monitoring heartbeat and heart rate, and so sleep monitoring apps and all those health related apps, wearable devices, they are at most more risk for such to happen, because since the data sometimes are being transmitted to databases for reuse or for analytical purposes, coming to think of somebody is having a heart attack and they haven't told you about it, they just in the hospital with their doctors, and then another agency is already aware, or probably AI is already feeding it into systems for decision making or for analytical process. Those are very, very key areas you want to bear in mind. So a lot of researches from Asif, Khalifa, and Abadawi and Mayo and even Resnick and Hosseini, they all speak about this, and you want to be careful. Then we have quality of research. Are we really sure that on relying on AI completely can, in terms of how much are we going to rely on AI in terms of propagating quality research outputs? Because, like we said, if the information is being regenerated and cross-referenced without proper check, it means that the research work or the quality will continue to drop over time. So the human input is very important, and that is where you come in to make sure you check whatever you are putting out there properly before sending it out. So do fact check for AI generated content. If you are not able to find the source of this information and you ask the AI over and over and they are not ready to provide you the reference, you can try and Google search that content directly and see if you can find it. If not, then please do not use it. Just go ahead and do your own other findings using the proper outlets like PubMed and all those reputable databases. So we have impact on human skills. With over reliance on AI, there are chances that humans will begin to doing the intellectually will begin to reduce. Our intellectual capacity might begin to reduce, especially in the academic field of research. Well, should I be concerned about that? Partly because if students are relying on AI, because you know how it is academically, it's a highly pressured period of your life. Sometimes you just want to submit this assignment and get and go out of there. In the process of doing assignments, you learn a lot. But if these days students will just have to pull up information and just paste it for you, then of course that critical thinking is gone. The learning is not done, and the students wouldn't know that, especially if that is an essay assignment. So you want to put that out there that whenever you generate information, make sure that you can actually sit in a quiz from that information in the same class. That's what I do to my students sometimes. Like, of course, you can use AI to write some basic things, not really things that I want to for that really counts or is for your formative assessments. But when you come to class, make sure you can sit in a quiz to answer questions from that information you sent to me via email or submitted on the student management platform. Same thing should apply to your research. Whenever you're doing anything, make sure you are responsible for it. You must take responsibility because AI will not. And if you cannot take responsibility for any information you are putting out there, please do not put it out there. It might come back to haunt you later. And we have ethical oversight where AI needs robust ethical guidelines to oversight the process because there's some data over and in 2002, no sorry, 2022, some issues came up with ChatGPT and other generative AI using information behind paywall, and they are using it to actually give to people freely, and so some restrictions started coming into place to make sure that they don't have access to everything and anything. So those ethical issues has to be standardized, and you also have to understand that when information goes through AI and come to you, it is you that actually sourced it that will be responsible. The AI might be third party in it, but it is you who finally used it that will take the responsibility for that. So what are the challenges we have seen so far in terms of adopting AI? Because it is doing a whole lot. It is doing a whole lot. We have seen lack of strategic vision as one of the things that have limited organizations from accepting AI or integrating it into their systems. We have seen data quality and availability issues because people don't want to rely on some data that they are not cannot trust their sources. We have integration with legacy systems is another challenges because some industries or organizations already have what they do and how they do it. And if leaders are not visionary, they are not strategic enough, they cannot even look on the side of AI to put it into work or put it to work. Privacy and data security concerns, we have discussed that as well because some organizations don't want their to have a black hole that will actually make their data to be easily leaked out there. We have reliability and trust issues, which is also very closely tied to privacy. And we have regulatory and compliance challenges. Today, we have the EU and looking at regulating AI in a way that will eventually kind of increase taxation and tariff. And sometimes they want to make sure that they partly own these tools, and those are issues. Those are issues. And even in your organization, let's go off the international scale. You are generating data from your organization, and the AI is capturing it for decision making. Over time, let's say you stop subscribing to that platform, then your data is still in their cloud. Who regulates how they are being used, and how do you comply? And then we have cultural resistance to innovation, which is a very, very huge thing in an organization. People don't want change, especially if they are comfortable doing what they are doing the way they are doing it without any regards to whether the next phase or the new change will make it easier for them. Sometimes they just don't want to move. Cost of implementation is a part issue of AI. The challenges of accepting it. They will have skepticism and hype cycles. So, like I mentioned before, AI is at its peak somehow, but it's also beginning to reduce or drop. When that hype cycle is over, people will begin to realize, oh, I didn't need this tool. I need that one. I've used a lot of AI tools. I've tested a lot. I've told myself I might not go back to some of them. Some of them have become a partner with me that I believe we're probably going to be partners for life. So these are things that people adopt and they don't want to adopt certain type of AI. And then limited expertise and skills. Do you know how to use it? Are you able to really create a very accurate and usable prompt, not the regular Google things you do? Are you able to create a prompt that actually gives you what you want? For instance, if I'm teaching primary school, as it's called in Nigeria, um, the prompt I will use to tell AI to bring some objectives or bring some questions will be different from what I'm using for my undergraduate students or even graduate students because I know the content the terms of the Bloom's taxonomy of learning. You want to make sure that you're using the right terminologies to make sure that these things come out at the level of the learner's capability. So these are skills you will need to learn, and also if you are dealing with certain information, because sometimes because some of us English or the language are not really
100% first language, you find it difficult that you are using a word that's actually very close to what you truly mean, but it is not what you actually wanted. AI is not going to read your mind, it's going to read your text and it's going to bring back the feedback. You'll be like, oh, I'm trying to generate this thing, but it's not really what I wanted. But these are skills and expertise you need to really work through. Now, this is an article from Harvard Business Review, which actually cited some of the obstacles to use of AI from integrative cognitive project, which I mentioned. That's we have a culture here we don't want to change. To technology and expertise are too expensive. These are responses from um, organizations why they have not integrated AI into their system as at 2017, written by them. So if you look closely, the highest is like the integration is hard. People just say it is hard, 47%. And then it is too expensive, 40%. Managers don't understand cognitive technologies and how they work. That's lack of knowledge. It's 37%, and then we can't get enough people with expertise in technology. Same problem is almost the major obstacle. 35%, and technology are immature. People are still waiting. They're still waiting to be sure that they get it right before they adopt it. So that's 31%, and technologies are being oversold in the marketplace now. Some technology, because of vendors come to you and tell you, oh, this is what we have, this is what we want to say to you, this is what our tools can do, we want you to buy us or subscribe to our platform. Some persons say, okay, this technology has been overused, meaning that when we use it, we are not at an advantage to the other organizations, if AI tools. Why are we using the same? Let's look for something more important, more advanced, more sophisticated. So a lot of researchers are still very skeptical about the use of AI in academic writing. That is not just a problem in organizations, as you have seen above, it's also a problem in research. Now, let's look at this work by Mayo et al. 2023. I'm just going to point out a few things for you. Here, the topic says ethical dilemmas in using AI for academic writing and examples, framework for peer review and nephrology in academia. It's a narrative review. And then, is it ethical, unethical? That's the title says ethical dilemmas. So, now, if you look at this table, which one of the table they presented in the work, you see, I want to point your attention to something very important. AI's unethical role in scholarly writing, boldly written. And then if you go down and start looking at, you will see AI to academic writing, transformative impact. But hold on, your title of your table said unethical, and your the analysis said transformative impact. So are we contradicting ourselves here? Most likely, but we have positive possibilities, and they will have then systematic flaws. Okay, now when was this article written? We looked closely and saw it's 2023, and the tone is totally like we're pushing against AI somehow. Then I went further and looked at the transformation that would have occurred across board, and I pulled out this one written by Hansen et al. 2024, and look at what happens beyond the hype, the actual role of and risk of AI in today's medical practice, comparative approach study. This is the abstract of this work. I want you to pay attention to this detail. It says, in terms of accuracy, then they went, GTP was cited 72% accurate in of its peer-reviewed articles, but includes some non-existent references. Now, people are beginning to know where the weaknesses are and where the strengths of each tools are. So Microsoft Bing was 46%, which is now called Copilot, and then supplemented by relevant peer-reviewed articles. And then in terms of clarity, both models convey clear, coherent text. Text is always coherent, but whether it is a fact is another thing. People are beginning to walk through that process. And then under in the conclusion, it says both models have potential. Neither can independently handle comprehensive academic tasks. No unnecessary criticism, just constructive recommendation. We can do better, is what this research is saying now in 2024. And then researchers should critically assess AI outputs to maintain academic credibility. You see, the tone just within the space of 1 year, the tone about AI would have changed drastically. That's why I'm telling you today that the ongoing expansion in AI in academics can be used in many ways. And in fact, schools are using it already. For instance, Canigo, which is being used, guide students through lessons, adjusting its support based on individual. Those who are in academics here, if you are a lecturer or you are into academic work, these are things you want to be really following to know how it's being used, right? So we have the live hint, which helps students to check how students performs in a real time and provide hints on how they can improve. Of course, there's no way you can separate research from academics. It's always tied together. That's why I had to touch this. And then we have the Blue Kits, which design games and quizzes for students for them to actually use to learn, or what we call gamification of procedure. As a nursing educator, you can actually gamify procedures and have a game platform where students pick the necessary things they need to do a procedure, and if they pick the wrong thing, the game tell them, oh, wrong item. Just the same way they play around with other form of things on their phones. Instead of doing that, they should spend the time, quality time, on playing games which are nursing related. We have Helium, which is a machine learning strategy put in place there. And then we have automated grading and feedback systems, which have been used by notable institutions. We have the University of Michigan using AI-tailored feedback for students, and then we have the ASAP competition by Hayward Foundation, and it's being used to grade essays in high-stake exams. High-stake exams, of course, means that the exams are either pass or fail. Like, it actually helps you to progress to the next level. And I mean, it's a prerequisite for next level. It means if you fail it, you have something to lose. And then we have Coursera and ADS, which is also using AI to evaluate both objective and subjective works, providing timely feedback. And then we have the coding platform for those who are into technologies. They understand this. HackerRank and Code Signal, which are used to automate programming and assignments are graded. However, we have it in a clinical environment as well. Mayo Clinic has been able to put out some statements as at 2024, stating that Mayo Clinic proceedings allow the use of technologies by authors to improve their ethical syntax and fluency, but not to supplant the author's role in data interpretation and reaching scientific conclusion. All such use of AI-based tools should be fully disclosed to the journal. We are not saying you should not use it, Mayo Clinic said, but we want you to tell us when you use it. In fact, when I read through this article, it's actually emphasized that a lot of authors whose language, first language, are not English, find it difficult to write in English. With AI, it's becoming easier. I actually peer reviewed an article on frontiers of public health written by some authors from Korea, and they wrote it in English, but I could see the challenges they were having transferring those their very impressive knowledge into English language. And I had to, at some point, recommend the use of someone that speaks English as a first language to edit the manuscript for them. And I wouldn't say use AI because the policies of the journal, but when they returned the manuscript the second time, it was almost perfect. It just one more time I touched it and it was published. So you want to encourage people on where and when to use AI for their work, and that would really help. And then the future looks promising because the research is likely to be dominated by advancements in AI and machine learning. Emerging trends include automated research, where you will sit down, just put a prompt, and the research will come out. All you need to do is to read through, criticize, or scrutinize, and then you sit down and draft your own copy. And some with time, I believe there might be just the way we use Microsoft Word now to type directly without having to write first, give to your supervisor, bring it back, and then go and type. AI might become really very integrated that you have your personal AI that will be able to write for you. And then because of your signatures, your digital signatures all over the document, you might be able to really tell that you wrote this and not another person. So I'm expecting advancement with time that will be able to really control, especially the ethical aspects of AI. And it's an exciting future, and I'm really, really excited to be part of that. So now from Harvard Business Review one more time, it says most managers with whom we discuss the issue of job loss are committed to an augmentation strategy. That is integrating human and machine work rather than replacing human entirely. In our survey, only 22% of executives indicated that they consider reducing headcount as primary benefit of AI. So we have about 78% of executives still willing and able to really keep your job. As I was preparing for this lesson, a story popped in my head, a fiction, a child who said to his father, what is your disposition with AI? And the father said, I'm scared AI is going to take my job. And then the child said, no, AI will not take your job. And then the father said, you don't know anything. AI is going to take all our jobs. Then the child said, okay. As he walks away, he remembers he had an assignment that he needs to do. And then he spoke to his father, Daddy, please, can you help me with my homework today? The father said, I'm very busy with a lot of work piled up from the office. I need to finish it. And he added, can you please ask Alexa to help? And then the child said, Daddy, it seems like Alexa is going to take your role. So I laughed and I said, that's a very interesting way of looking at it. If it's not supporting you, then people begin to feel that it's taking your position. But of course, we can use AI in a very responsive way, and it's going to be very, very, very important in the near future. In fact, it's already is, but a lot of persons are still resisting. How do we then take it? Strategic implementation, train researchers, train people, let people learn how to use these things. And if they do, they will do better. That's why we are at Institute of Nursing Research actually. So if you do not have the capacity or the skills to do research or even use AI properly, we will invite you to join our program, the Institute of Nursing Research Journal Club. There you will have enhanced skills such as help you to build your basic learning methodology in research, help you to learn how to use AI and AI-based software, learn how to conduct thorough investigation, analyze data, and present findings. You have to then learn how to collaborate with others because you have access to the researchers. And as I speak to you, I'm actually a mentor to a group of researchers. We are putting out works out there, a lot of products, a lot of quality research are coming out from it. It gives you that ability to collaborate, do the little you can, and others do the little they can, and then you see a very powerful product coming out from it. They have networking opportunities. You meet with people at various level of studies, from basic undergraduates to master's level, doctorates. They are all there in INR, and I promise you, it's going to be a great opportunity to network. You will have career advancement that can strengthen your CV. Also, it can help you gain valuable mentorship from others. Then your research is going to be groundbreaking. I can promise you that. The persons in INRO, our CEO, past CEO, present CEO, and other team members, they are excellent. And then we have community-based projects that will also carry out over time to time. So the email is displayed at the bottom of this page. You can look it up or send an email across or check our website just at inronigeria.org. You can find more details there. All right, so this is the call for application for the cohort 8, and we are starting next year or in a few months' time, January. And we have 3 categories. We have the beginners, which is if you don't know anything about research at all. In fact, you don't even know how to define what is research. We'll make a pro out of you. We have intermediates where we have, okay, I have an idea, but I still am not sure. Then we'll take you on and we'll train you. Then we have the advanced, which is, oh, I know what to do, but I just need support, network, motivation. Then, of course, we have a space for you too. So people have been able to move, or some persons have been able to move from beginner and even graduated as advanced. Is it expensive to be on this program? Not at all. If you are abroad, just maybe $2. If you're in Nigeria, maybe about 5,000 naira, which is very, very small amount. So you see, this is actually a free way of learning. And I promise that I look through the curriculum and it is rich, massive. I want you to come. I want you to join us there. So, in conclusion, we leverage machine learning is essential for overcoming research challenges and unlocking significant benefits. Ethically embracing these technologies will pave the way for a more efficient and effective research landscape. Here are my resources, and thank you for having me.
That is great. Can we just appreciate our speaker in the house? That is awesome. That is wonderful. That's a good delivery, unexpected, and a massive one indeed. At the moment, we'll be taking questions. So if you have any questions, kindly unmute yourself. Thank you so much, our speaker. We really appreciate that perfect delivery. That's a good one. Very, very interesting. I believe every one of us would have gotten 1 or 2 points to actually take home this evening. And after this session, I know that you have a lot of assignments to do because there are a lot of apps software that have been discussed where you just have to explore to know how it really works. So this session is not just a session where you just come to listen and you just close the book forever. No, you have a lot of things to do right after this time. Please, I would just want every one of us to ensure that you take cognizant notes of everything that we have learned on this platform. We appreciate you so much. Thank you very much, able speaker. So, Miloye Ayomide, can we hear you?
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma. Yes, thank you very much for this presentation. It's really impactful and it's really interesting. God bless you, sir. So, my question is that because I noticed something regularly for nursing students. So, right from foreign level to foreign level, though people are being taught what research is all about and everything in class, but for students, they still have this kind of barriers for them to understand it very well. Because when it comes to writing a paper right from chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, though they have supervisors that put them through, but still there are still some barriers. So I want to ask give us more impact, how can we really overcome this, sir? Thank you, sir.
Okay, that's a very, very important question. In fact, that is why INR actually exists and some other platform out there. To become better with research, you must conduct research. Am I audible?
Yes, you have.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
See, so the best way to become a good researcher, I'm not even talking about excellence, which also is on the same track. First of all, you must practice what you learned. What did you learn? Did you learn how to create a little hypothesis, or write a research question, or just do a pie chart, or whatever? The little ones you've learned, try to practice it. And then when you do, reach out to mentors and ask them to help you look over it, right? And when they do, they give you feedback. Do not feel overwhelmed by the feedback, like, oh my God, I just thought I put all my energy into this and now here it is. I myself, I still have mentors. I have people like Dr. Cantaris, I have professors all over the world that I send my work, or sometimes intentionally add them to my research because I want them to have that professorial look at it and correct it. So collaborate. If you are not an INR member, I would strongly encourage you to join the next cohort, because why we can actually access mentors, people who are very, very advanced in research, it is very likely that you will not be able to get their full attention because of time issues. Sometimes people bring things to my desk and I know I would have to do this on my to-do list. I spend weeks trying to tell them I will get it done. But because I'm pressured, I have to prioritize some things. And I do apologize if anybody is in this house also who has sent me something, I have not been able to finish it. But the point is this: look for people who actually are better than you, practice what you know, and that will take you to the next level.
Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate that.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you for that contribution. Yeah, do we have other questions? Do you have anybody with I think somebody was
I see Temi talk there.
Please, can you unmute yourself and let's hear you? Temi talk, please.
Thank you very much, sir. My question is, how do we navigate getting ethical consideration from wherever the research is happening carried out? Because I remember I started the research work during my service year, and it was a whole lot getting approval from my local government then. I ended up abandoning the work because I couldn't get an approval. They were not so pleased with what I was researching on. And the whole thing, we had so much back and forth like that. So how do you go through? And somebody, I know a friend currently in INR, I think she just finished, and she's trying to carry out the research at lawsuit, but getting ethical consideration from lawsuit has been a problem.
Okay, that's a very important question. I think I may be part of that last week's challenge as well, because I've actually one of the INRO graduates who finished her work. I'm actually supervising one of the personal research she's trying to carry out at lawsuit. But since 4 or 5 months or 4 months, I think 4 months or so, she hasn't even been able to get clearance for it. So I understand. Now, if your purpose of researching is just to have experience, then you can change your topic to something more suitable that is in line with what the organization are actually pursuing at that time, so that you can gain your experience. But if it is your passion, you are specifically interested in that research, then you have to sit down and maybe consult with someone with experience to look at your proposal, especially the methodology, the ethical aspect of it, and see if it aligns with the global standard. Once they give you, if possible, ask for a past sample of an application they would have actually approved before that went through. Then you can look at it. I had similar challenge, like I said, at lawsuit, which is, I think, maybe it's a universal problem there, maybe because it took time before we could reach the person who's actually in charge of the ethical process. But in Nigerian ethical health, like the national level, which is the Nigerian Ethical Committee for Health Research or something like that, NREC, they actually approve work easily, but they have monthly batches which they work on. At my state level, I had been able to get approval from Oyo State. Even while I'm here, I was able to also get from Delta State Ministry of Health, from Delta State Hospital Management Board, and various other locations. But I would say this, I understand the struggle. Even though I got approval from Delta State Ministry of Health to carry out some research I was doing at the state level, there was a time I went to the ministry again to collect some data, money related data, and it wasn't easy. People were like, if they toss you from this office to the next office to the next office to the next office, because it's about budget, it's about finance, so nobody wants to be the one that released the data. So just if you are starting off, stay within the perimeters of safe practices, like things that doesn't really have to do with much detail, so that you don't get resistance. That would help you. So I think, I don't know if I answered the question clearly, but I think I put a context on it for you to understand how to navigate this.
Right, thank you. And I think that would surely bring an answer to the question of the topic. And as well, we can ensure that I believe that there will be a protocol in obtaining ethical consideration in any institution. So it might really take a long process, but some people don't actually know where exactly to go. So I would just advise that for anywhere you wish to do your research or you are carrying out your research, you just have to ensure you pass through the administrative direction. Just go straight and ask about the details on how you can get your ethical consideration approved. Right. So thank you so much for that.
Sorry, just to add, and it is important. I mentioned it, but in a dark, I didn't really emphasize. It's very important that you go and obtain their templates before you draft. The reason is, even in the same states, there are organizations, there are ethical review proposal templates might be different. They are usually similar, but the contents are usually, the focus are different. Some want to focus on the researcher's details more than even the research. Some want to focus on the method. Some want to focus on all those minor things, inclusion and exclusion criteria, and all. Those are things you have to know. But use the one from that organization. It will help. But I believe you would have done that. I'm not just saying it because I think you did it. But even if you didn't do that, please try and get that done. It will help you.
Thank you so much for that as well. So please, if you can't actually unmute yourself to speak at the moment, you can send a message through the chat box. Just make use of the chat box. But if you are here and you can still unmute yourself, if you have any question, please kindly do that and let's hear you out before we bring this session to a close. So if you have any question, I haven't gotten any question in the chat box, but if you know you want to speak directly, you want to ask your question directly, please make use of. Okay, I think I have a question here. The question is, what can one do when a school in the UK isn't allowing or supporting students who use AI for academic writing? So in that case, what should you do?
Okay, now I think I addressed that during the presentation, but because I was presenting, you probably didn't pick it. When you use AI to write and you pick it like verbatim and then you go into your paste and paste, trust me, the AI tools, I'm a lecturer, right? I have, when I set up Moodle, I put AI detection, I tick it as on. When you upload your work, I will see your plagiarism or similarity index for other writing. Then I will also see your similarity index for AI. So what do? It's the same old way. You open articles, you read through it, and then you write your work. So now, if you want to use AI to generate information online, then go ahead and use AI to actually create or generate the information. When you open the AI like this and say, okay, this is what this is about. All right, let me look at this study. And then you look at it and then you open your work and start your work. Write it by yourself. So the idea is already right before you. The resources is there, the information is there. All you need to do is write it on your own. Most times, because there's the human tune, the language, the dictionary or the syntax of your writing is always personal. If I write something now and send it across, the tone is going to be very personalized. You won't know you that is writing it. But whenever your lecturer reads through it, they will know, this is the writing from Mr. Josiah. Now, how did I know that? With time and experience. Also, when I was back in university, I used to do a lot of research work. Like, I help students to assist them with, like, guide them through. Sometimes when they send work to me, I'll be like, Mr. Josiah, please, can you help me look through this work? In the process of being that nice, generous person, I will start typing on the work. I'll be like, okay, correct here, and all that. My fellow students. And then my lecturer called me one day and said, Mr. Josiah, I'm seeing all the research you are doing for other students. I said, sir, but I did not do it. He said, I know how you write. So your lecturer actually know how you write. So please, when you generate information, don't copy and paste it. Don't even type it verbatim. Just use the idea and write. And then another question I see, just to save time, say, is it very necessary to analyze our data or give it to analysts to do it for us? So the purpose of education is to learn, okay? If you cannot do it and then the credit that you did it, then you are actually, that's ethically not right, and that is academic dishonesty. So you should do your data analysis, bulk of it, do it by yourself. But academic supervisors always say consult especially if your work is very complex, they will say consult a statistician. So you can consult with a statistician and then he can help you through the hurdles of the complex analysis. The goal is that while he or she is doing that analysis, you as the individual, you are learning, you are getting the process. So don't just source out your research and say, okay, you know what, I'm giving out my research to somebody to do, and I'll pay the person so and so amount of money. That is totally wrong, and you don't want to be caught in that web. So is it academic right to use AI for our dissertation thesis, despite knowing that its reference are not true. No, definitely not true, not right. You don't want to do that. That's totally strong academic dishonesty there. Do not do that. The reason is this: whatever you do, especially if you grow to become prominent tomorrow, whatever you do today can come back to haunt you in 30 years' time. I'm going to give you an example. At Harvard University here, we had an issue with one of the prominent, I think the past, one of the presidential candidates. There's a research he did about 32 years ago, and it wasn't like a bad research, but because people are always going to dig out something, they went and brought out this research and said that it was not, the analysis was not properly done. It would have been done better. Can you imagine how little things like that can actually come back to kind of haunt you? So if you put a reference that is not true in your work, trust me, you don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. So please, it's better you put that there's no supporting evidence or things to support what you are doing, rather than for you to say they erase it and you say, okay, I'll just take it out because it looks nice. It's just like saying writing somebody's name and putting a title and putting a fake journal and saying that you are referencing the person. Come on, it won't help you in the future. So please, I know writing is very difficult, it's very hard, it's tedious, it's demanding. Do not fall for the trap. Okay? Thank you, Moses.
It out. So let me just use this opportunity to let you know that this next cohort is going to be a powerful cohort. So don't sleep on it. Ensure that you register on time so that you'll be able to maximize everything that has been packaged for the session for you. So if you want to be versatile, if you want to expand your knowledge, if you want to be deeper in your research, don't sleep on this. Don't just waste time in registering at all. In the absence of question, can I just allow our CEO to take over in case there is something you would like to pass across to the participants? You're welcome. Our CEO, Mr. Adeshoyi, the floor is open for you.
Okay. Thank you so much, moderator, and thank you so much, our presenter. So I want to appreciate everyone for attending this webinar. This webinar has been very impactful, and we are hoping that going forward we'll be having more impactful webinar. And as the facilitator has actually helped us to see that we are currently opening the application for the new cohorts of the Journal Club, which is a very good platform for you to build your competencies in research. You would also be able to network with a lot of experts, be able to ask your questions, you'll be able to collaborate with people in carrying out research. It's a very great opportunity for you to be exposed to many things. As soon as the application is out, you would see it on our social media platforms. You would see us sending them all around. It would be nice for you to be a part of this cohort, and there you would be exposed to deeper things regarding research and evidence-based practice in nursing. Research is not something that we can talk about just in 1 hour. In fact, I was really blown away because the issue of AI is not something that could be covered in just 1 hour, but the facilitator has tried as much as possible to compress everything for us in an hour. And if you have further questions, you can relate them to the leaders of the institute. You can also have such conversation with the facilitators. Thank you so much. It's nice to have every one of you here. Thank you. Over.